Welcome to On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show, where we highlight the leaders, innovators, and professionals dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for our military communities. Hosted by John Prue, an MWR leader with nearly 40 years of experience serving Navy and military communities around the world. In this episode, we're joined by former Navy MWR Director Brian Connors, who spent over 36 years serving military communities and helping shape the future of recreation. We'll dive into how early career experiences can influence leadership, the lessons that stay with you throughout your journey, and practical advice for the next generation of MWR professionals. Whether you're serving in military recreation or looking to grow as a leader, this is a conversation you won't want to miss. This is On the Front Line, powered by the DPRS Media Network. Let's dive in.
All right, it is 13:30 on Tuesday, 19 May 2026, and you are on the front line. My name is John Prue. As the host of this weekly podcast focused on armed forces or military recreation, we talk to professionals in the industry who are in some way making a difference in the quality of life of our military and their families. For all of you out there, you might be a morale, welfare, and recreation or MWR professional who directly supports quality of life for our military and families each and every day. Maybe you are or have been in the military and a user of MWR programs and services at some point, and we thank you for your service. Perhaps you're a business or organization which directly supports or wants to support our armed forces recreation professionals around the globe. You just might be a public parks and recreation professional curious about that thing called military recreation and what it's all about. Or perhaps you don't fit into any of those categories and you just tuned in. Either way, welcome. Welcome to On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show. All right, we got a great show today. Good friend, colleague Brian Connors is with us, former MWR director from NSA, Panama City, Florida. He was down there for many years, did some great stuff with Navy MWR in general. We're going to talk about all of that stuff, but we are going to focus on how early jobs influenced your career or our careers and always finding ways to kind of remember those lessons learned and how you can bring that back to your advantage uh, later on in your career. So that's going to kind of be the flow of the conversation, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have some laughs and we might even talk about college football. Who knows what happens in this conversation? I am looking forward to it. All right. As you know, we are part of an amazing media company called Daily Parks and Recreation Show, or DPRS. DPRS Media exists to honor the parks and recreation industry, reflecting the stories and highlighting the careers and celebrating the real pros out there doing the essential work in our communities. That includes our military communities. Want to give a shout out to our producer, as always, Jovi, doing great things for us, keeping us on track, pulling up graphics, transitions. Jovi, thank you for what you do. I also want to thank our founder of DPRS Media, Craig LeBlanc. He's been amazing, and I really want to thank him for allowing us the opportunity to have this weekly podcast focused solely on military recreation and those professionals and the great work that's being done around the globe, honestly. All right, today's show sponsor is Outdoor Link. If you want to turn on your entire city on and off with the swipe of a finger on an app, this is what Outdoor Link does. Outdoor Link builds smart cities connecting your park lights, splash pads, fountains, scoreboards, bathroom door locks, or anything really powered by electricity into a simple app on your phone, tablet, or desktop that can be controlled from any location. 24/7, 365 days a year. If you want to know more about Outdoor Link, tune in to Smart Parks Forward Show with Dave Ramirez on the second and fourth Mondays at 1:30 Eastern on the DPRS network. We're also going to see a little promo from Outdoor Link and one on JDP Services Management Consulting, near and dear to my heart. So, Jovi, why don't you take it away? We'll show a couple promos and then we'll be right back and get on with this show.
JDP Services Management Consulting, supporting parks and recreation and the essential service they provide. Communities benefit greatly from having dedicated advocates who champion the value of play in open spaces. Such advocacy ensures that recreational areas are prioritized and managed in ways that enhance the overall quality of life for everyone. We are dedicated to fortifying public park and recreation agencies and other related organizations by taking a practical, engaged approach to consulting and training, addressing immediate needs while equipping clients with lasting insight and tools to strengthen their organizations for long-term success. JDP Services, Management Consulting, meeting needs and exceeding expectations.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
All right, we are back, and we're going to get this thing rolling. Joby, why don't you pull up the deck? We always kind of go around the world. We're going to go around the world quickly here today. Again, this is stuff that comes across our social media channels as a part of the Armed Forces Recreation Network, part of NRPA. And we have Facebook and a LinkedIn site and lots of good posts and reposts that are happening on a regular basis. Matter of fact, on Facebook, probably close to 150 posts or reposts every single month of just really cool events that are happening around the world, around the globe, and all the services. So we're going to start this week. Really caught my attention. They've got a really cool passport program up at Coast Guard Base, Kodiak, Alaska. Actually, Kodiak was a former gold medal winner early on, I think probably in the first 5 or 6 years of the gold medal being in existence for Armed Forces Recreation, Kodiak won it for the Coast Guard. So they're kind of notorious for having some really cool programs. Obviously, they take advantage of their environment. And here they're focused on, hey, stop at the admin office, pick up these stickers. So you're collecting stickers, you're putting them on the passport. They also want you to stop down at their boathouse and a couple other locations, and then you're in luck to potentially win some great prizes, including a free boat rental, which is like gold up there in Alaska in Kodiak, especially coming up around this time of year where it's just beautiful up there. They got a short window, but you get up there at the right time. It's a great place. So kudos to the folks at Coast Guard Base, Alaska. Keep up the great work there. And then the other one is NAS Whiting Field, Florida. They had a Candyland Carnival, I think they called it here recently, to kind of celebrate. We've got Military Spouse Appreciation Month. We just came off of Military Month of the Military Child, and they had a family carnival in one of their big parking spaces. Looked like a lot of fun and a lot of people. So wanted to highlight. This is just a few of the many pictures that we saw there. So, anyways, kudos to the MWR team, another gold medal winning team as well from NAS Whiting Field. So, thank you. Okay, and tomorrow I will be heading to DC and attending the Hill Day, NRPA's Hill Day 2026. So excited. I'm meeting with 3 congressmen and 2 senators, and we're going to be pitching lots of things. We're going to be talking advocacy and support for parks and recreation. And since I have a voice on the board and the opportunity, and I am a total free agent, I am not part of DoD or DOW anymore. We're going to talk. I'm going to talk about quality of life programs for our military and families. You get the decision makers, you get the people in Congress, and I'm certainly going to be talking about that aspect, along with obviously the goodness of parks and recreation. We're also going to talk about some of the appropriations that are out there, the Land Water Conservation Fund, stateside funding. Still want to make sure all that happens. We had huge success with that bill passing originally, but it's not over. It continues to need to be funded, especially at the stateside level. So we're going to be talking about that. And then youth sports is really kind of a hot topic. There is a joint congressional legislation sports caucus that's going on, and we're going to encourage more of our congressmen and senators to kind of get more involved and grow that percentage. I think it's something like 55% of youth are involved with youth and youth sports. Now that's a big number in this country, but why is it 55%? Why, at least at the youngest ages, they're not actively involved with sports at some level, or at least get some of the concepts in those early leagues and sports opportunities. So how do we grow 55% to a bigger percentage down the line? So we're going to be talking about all those things. I'm super excited to kind of represent, and across the board, I'm definitely going to bring up quality of life programs, funding, everything we can do to improve quality of life for our military and families. So that's where I'm off to tomorrow. And then, of course, the typical slide we show here, if you want to be a part of the monthly meetings for Armed Forces Recreation Network, that's off to the left, the QR codes. If you want to be a part of our Facebook group or LinkedIn, just got to ask. If you're anywhere in the business or connected to recreation in general, you just ask to join in. And then you'll be getting all of these cool programs and information on your feeds if you go ahead and ask. And again, even if you don't get the QR code today, if you don't have a way to do that right now, or you're just listening, just type in Armed Forces Recreation into either LinkedIn or Facebook. Our group will come up and just ask to join. So a lot of good stuff happening. Jovi, you can take that back down. Okay, why don't you bring up our guest here today? so happy. MWR is a major entity. I mean, we have 65,000 employees across all the services worldwide. And, it's $4.5 billion industry if you look at it, especially if you count youth and child services in there. Bottom line is it's a big entity, a big organization, but in a lot of ways, it's a small, small world. You get to know people. Obviously, if you work for the Navy MWR, you get to know it a little closer. But even across the services, we get to know each other from various things. So it's a big world, but it's a small world. And technically, you can get to know people you never really even work with. And here today, I'm working with someone I've known for 15 years. I consider him a friend, a colleague, Mr. Brian Connors, former MWR director at NAS, Panama City, Florida. The man, the myth, the legend. Brian, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you, John. It's always a pleasure to sit down and talk with you, especially in this setting. Anytime we can talk MWR and maybe rehash some old stories, that's even better.
Yeah, as I said in the beginning, I think our tack when you get two old guys on, yeah, I think there are some really cool things you can go back and reflect on your career and just, in the moment you're maybe not even understanding you're learning a lesson, but you do, and
Yeah,
how that can circle back and help you in your job down the line or whatever your aspirations are. So we're going to talk about lessons learned and taking advantage of that a little bit in kind of the discussion, or I hope it comes through if we don't get
yeah.
hijacked off on college football or something like that. So,
You mean that?
oh my God, you had to bring out the Penn State thing. Yeah, yeah,
That's
Brian
it.
is.
I won't bring it up anymore.
Yeah, no, Brian comes from a great program at Penn State. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that. Matter of fact, let's lead into that. You've
Sure.
had quite the career. Started, who knows? Maybe it started before college, but why don't you walk us through
Yeah,
that career path here?
sure. So, as you know, we talked before. I'm from originally from Pittsburgh, big sports town. So, of course, grew up playing sports, watching sports, played as much as I could. Fortunately, in high school, coming out of high school, I got recruited by some schools to play. Couldn't quite cut the Division I mustard like at a Penn State, so
What,
I
what,
ended up,
what? Hold on. What sport?
yeah, basketball.
Oh, basketball.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was a point guard, so at 6 foot, that's okay, but I was too slow and
Yeah.
not quite good enough. But so
Now
anyway, yeah,
hold on, hold on.
yeah,
The nets were still little baskets, like
yeah.
apple baskets, right?
Right,
And
right, right.
and
That's it.
and
Yeah.
and, and the 3-point line was still 20 years away, right?
It's funny you say that. I went through my whole career. I never had a 3-point line until I started playing men's leagues later in life. But yeah,
Yeah,
I would have
yeah,
been maybe a little better if I had a 3-point line, but that's my
exactly.
excuse. Yeah. So anyway, I went to a Commonwealth campus, which is a branch campus of Penn State. There's like 12 or 14 scattered throughout Pennsylvania. So I ended up playing 2 years of basketball there, and then I transferred to the main campus for my last 2 years, and that's where kind of I really focused on getting into recreation as a major. First 2 years I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I kind of and it was surprising. I think we talked before that there weren't a lot. Every uh, university wasn't offering parks and rec or recreation as a degree. So I was fortunate that they had it, and that was something I was interested in, and that's the course the route I took. So fast forward a couple years, and then like most programs, they require an internship. So I had to do an internship for 12 weeks prior to graduating. And I went to my advisor, and she asked me, you want to focus in what area? And I was kind of leaning towards sports naturally. And so she introduced me to the military recreation, and specifically Navy. which all 4 years in school, I never heard of it, never was exposed to it, didn't even know it existed, really. And I
Okay.
don't know if, yeah,
Okay, so timeout.
yeah,
Yeah, that it's similar situation for me because we never talked about it, and then all of a sudden you get somebody in the intern coordinator that all of a sudden has a connection with the military and throws this option out at you. Kind of
right,
weird how universities don't connect the dots between Rec 101 when you're kind of learning the whole broad base of what public parks and recreation or corporate recreation or various things to then okay, now at the last second you throw this curveball and say there's military. So I take it your advisor had some connection, either previously worked or was in the military. How did that all work? Or do you know the
I
backstory?
it wasn't she wasn't in the military, but I think her connection was she would attend either NRPA, conferences like that, and I think at some point there was a Navy rep there. Somebody
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
connected the dots. And then, once she sent, I actually did my internship at the air station in Key West. So
yeah.
that was her connection. She must have sent somebody there prior to me, years ahead. And then that was her connection. And she hooked me up with the director down there. And, I got it. But I'm wondering, do you know today, do universities offer even, like, I'm thinking, is there a military recreation 202, 101? Are there courses for military recreation now?
Lot of discussion, and that could be an episode in itself because I'm on the American Academy for Parks and Recreation Administration. We have a lot of educators that are on that group, and I'm on a career development committee that we're on. We've been on it for 4 years, working various things, and in
Right.
those discussions, and yeah, it's kind of like yeah, sometimes I'll have guest speakers. I've probably done 20 briefings in the last 3 years at various universities. I know Tara Culbertson has, Kristen Riddle has. There's been various other people that talk at universities. I think Joe Kavanaugh and the Army team now is being more aggressive and getting out. So they'll take guest speakers and talk about it, but I
Right.
don't think there's a lot of discussion, and I really does it really is dependent on those universities. There's some that have good roots like Indiana, Penn
Right.
State's been solid.
Yeah.
SUNY Brockport, believe it or not, just the state university in New York, has some solid connections. So you tend to see these people gravitating towards military jobs, or at least them looking for it. But it is a mixed bag, and it's a little scary that they're not talking about it. And quite frankly, public parks and recreation has been dying at the college level because sports management is the hot topic now,
Right. Right.
and it's
And it's funny
dominating.
you say that, because that's kind of where I was leaning way back when. I thought maybe,
Yeah, it was all
going
kind.
into,
It was
yeah,
all kind of
sports.
lumped. It was all kind of lumped together. I know when I was doing my internship, one of my opportunities was a park district. And I had lots of experience with a park district already or a park and recreation department.
Yeah.
It was a Class A White Sox minor league team that was just down
Okay.
the road from my hometown. So they got kind of lumped in. They went after the parks and recreation people because there wasn't really this thing called sports management in the middle
Right.
of the 80s. I hate to date us, but I am dating us. So yeah, now it's its own entity, sports entertainment management. It's crazy. It's like the 10th most popular major, and every
Yeah.
college is trying to get that program in just because it is money ultimately because that's what students want to go into. So those folks that used to go into parks and recreation now are saying it's way cooler to go into sports management. But
Right.
again,
Right.
that is another episode.
Well, and I think they may be seeing the potential, like, oh,
Yeah,
big money. There's a lot of big money at the high level there, but I don't think
yeah.
I don't think that's a sure thing yet. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I derailed you somewhere
No,
after
that's
your
fine. That's
internship.
fine. Yeah. So anyway, after my internship, I drove all the way back to Pennsylvania. Not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to start applying for positions, and they called me back from Key West, and the athletic director went out on was pregnant, went out on leave, and decided not to come back. So she quit, and they offered me the position and said, "Hey, can you get there in 2 or 3 days?" I packed up everything I had and drove all the way back. And I worked at Key West for right about 4 years. And then I saw the position open as recreation director, which is a step up, taking on more programs other than just sports, as you know, and fitness. And I was selected for that. So I drove up to North Florida, and then I worked there as recreation director for several years, and then was promoted to MWR director, and then officially retired from that career or that position in 2024 after 36 years. Not quite. I think you had 38 or 39 in yours. Yeah, couldn't catch you. I was close.
After 30 doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's all the same, right? Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell. That's my journey, and
Yeah.
then yeah, we can talk about all the jobs in between, which I'm sure we will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, one of the things, kudos to you. What I heard was you ended your internship, you drove back to Pennsylvania from Key West, which that's
Yep.
a hike just getting back into mainland,
Oh yeah.
let alone all the way up the
20
state of
plus hour
Florida.
drive. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then within a couple days, you got called back and you drove back down.
Yes.
And you're an intern, so I'm assuming you didn't have the best of vehicles at the
No,
time.
no, actually, I had my grandfather's hand me down. It's funny, there was no GPS, no none of that. You know, you had a
Yeah,
map. I remember pulling through Miami. Think the first time I went down, thinking I'm here. I went to get gas. I asked the guy, "How do I get to the Naval station?" He said, "You've got to go another 3.5 hours." And I looked at him like he was crazy. I didn't even know that Key West was way down there. I figured it was right off of Miami. So that's how naive I was. But
we
you do what
are
you have to do.
we are teaching the younger generation of our audience, all tens of listeners that we have here,
Yeah, we'll
what it
say,
what it was like pre-internet and dial-up
yeah,
phones and
you had to pull over and ask for directions or open a map and read it. And
yeah,
you didn't
exactly.
have, if you had to call somebody, you had to get to a payphone if they know what that is.
Yeah,
But
life
yeah,
life was
it
tough
all
for us.
worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. So those early jobs when you were, a sports athletics guy, either at Key West or when you came up to Panama City and took on that recreation role, what were some of the key things that really kind of helped shape your career early on? Because I could rattle off a bunch of stuff now and say, "Oh my, that was a that was a key point. That
Yeah.
really changed things. That really changed my outlook on what we were doing and how we were serving the military." Can you share any of those?
Yeah, I think for me, it it was getting involved in doing anything that it required. As I didn't go into the job thinking, all right, I'm now this recreation director. I'm gonna tell people what to do. Yeah, that's part of it, and we get a vision and move out. But for me, those positions, what really stood out to me and made an impact was, if I had to work the concession stand, I worked the concession stand. If you had to prepare the ball field, you prepare the ball field. You had to set up, you weren't sitting in an office. I was not an office guy. So that it was tough for me to balance being in the office. I think a lot of, my colleagues at the region will say, they call me in my office and I'm never in there. Well, to me, that means I'm out doing something, and I'm out trying to, get involved. So those were the key points that kept me on point, so to speak. And that way I was in touch with customers. And I think that's the was one of the key points for me was, talking to customers, not just, at an event here and there, but getting out on the base. You go to other places on base and you go to other programs, and hey, what is it you're looking for? What are we doing right? What are we not doing? What do you need us to do? Those things kind of shaped which way I was going to go and how I was going to be as a leader, or how I was going to run my department. Kind of get back to customer focus, but really getting out there and talking to them.
Yeah, management by walking around definitely
Oh yeah,
sounds like that was your MO. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, you
the
had to sit in the office, for certain
Yeah,
things. But,
and I had a discussion with somebody just a couple weeks ago about this, and it was like it was a hard transition to become a supervisor. First, I think we both kind of got it fairly young.
yeah,
Yeah, it's one thing you got a couple decades that were working for you. If you're working just at a programmatic thing and you're cutting your teeth as a manager or a leader, just trying to figure it out, to be
yeah,
honest. Then all of a sudden you get a bigger department and you're really trying to structure how are you going to be this manager and leader, and and did you need to be out and about? Did you feel like you needed to be seen to get their acceptance? Because in a lot of cases you were a lot younger than some of the people you were
right,
supervising, even if they were part time.
right,
Um,
right.
and then you're trying to figure it out. But then the other piece of it is, and in Navy MWR, and I'll just say in government in general, there's an admin tail to everything we
Oh
do.
yeah,
And if you don't learn the admin, if you aren't committed to the admin side, the business side of what we do, you will fail.
yeah,
And I've seen some really good people, some dynamic people, personable people, good managers of people, but they weren't good on the admin side. And they either
yeah,
fizzled out or moved on or got pushed out because they didn't do that. So it's a really kind of happy balance between, trying to be out
yeah.
there and visible, but on the other hand, God, we work for a bureaucratic organization,
Oh, yeah. But
and
and
you can get
to
buried.
that point, to your point about, being younger and getting those responsibilities, I was, I guess, fortunate, that, early in my career, I had a lot of time I was, acting MWR director for
Yeah.
whatever reason. I filled a role above me several times, by far pretty much, but while while that was a little difficult, that basically really prepared me for a long career as a leader and a director. When you're thrown into, hey, you've got to go see the commanding officer and pitch a budget when I've never even done the full budget before. You got to figure it out in a month and make it right. So a lot of those things forced me to think on my feet and do a lot of research, call a lot of people, find out, hey, how do I do this? And those that was a key component too. I think being thrown into that role several times forced me to either,
Yeah.
do it or fail, basically.
So did you have a lot to go on? Did the person you were stepping in, I think you said he was going through some kind of medical thing and he was out
Yeah,
on leave and then just
yeah, that
ultimately never came back?
never came back. Yeah. Now, fortunately, he would meet with me once a week because he knew I just got there a couple months. So I got thrown into that pretty early. But yeah. And then I would reach out, and then I started reaching out to just anybody I could who could help me. And,
Yeah.
as in our profession, we're a phone call away all the time. So that helped, and then that happened a few other times where I was, thrown in that acting director role before I was selected as a director. So it
Yeah.
got easier and easier as it went on.
Yeah, that's another thing, and again, in today's age of use of computers and share files and everything else that's out there, it's a lot easier to document and have that support system where In
Right.
the good old fashioned days of paper files, those were kind of a mess. I don't know that anybody kept their paper files so immaculate,
No.
other than the formal correspondence stuff that you needed to. Um, you know, going back and trying to figure out what's what and who's who in the zoo was a lot more difficult. But yeah, lessons learned for anybody that goes through that, to make sure you can create a decent pass down log to whoever, because God forbid something happened. You don't want somebody to go through what you had to go through, especially
Right.
if it was scramble mode and there was no
Yeah.
backup. Yeah, interesting.
Now we have too much information. We save too much information now, but
Yeah,
that's
more than you need, but at least you
yeah.
can just click with a mouse and figure out, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to take a break in the action. Jovi's going to run a couple promos for us, but we're going to be right back talking to Brian about more stuff about his past career, but more importantly, lessons learned and some good advice for people looking to move up in their career and get some success. So, with that,
Sure.
Jovi, take it away. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
It didn't start with a big studio. It didn't start with a massive audience. It started with a simple idea. One conversation, one camera, one episode. Back then, DPRS Media Network was just a vision. No guarantees, no roadmap, just a purpose. To tell stories that mattered. Stories from the Parks and Recreation community. Stories of leadership, passion, impact, and the people making a difference every single day. Episode by episode, that vision began to grow. More conversations, more voices, more people who believed in what we were building. What started as a show became something much bigger. A place where people felt seen. A place where ideas were shared. A place where the Parks and Rec community could connect, learn, and inspire one another. And today, we celebrate a major milestone. 500 episodes. 500 stories, 500 moments, 500 reasons to keep moving forward. But this is not the finish line. This is the beginning of our next chapter. In the months ahead and in the years to come, DPRS Media Network is growing into something even greater. We are building something truly special for the Parks and Recreation community. Something designed to bring people closer, to create stronger connections, to open new opportunities, and to continue serving the people who inspire everything we do. We are also expanding our reach through new partnerships, working with organizations who believe in our mission, partners who share our vision for community, leadership, and impact. And beyond the screen, we're showing up in more places than ever before, attending conferences, meeting leaders face-to-face, building connections that strengthen our community. Because DPRS has never been just about content. It has always been about connection. To everyone who has been with us, from episode 1 to episode 500, thank you. This milestone belongs to all of you. Here's to how it all started. And here's to everything still to come. The future of DPRS Media Network starts now.
All right, we are back. I love that promo, but I have to follow a Machiavelli quote that's on the screen. So I don't think I'm going to say anything that intelligent or interesting. So, hey, we're back with Brian Connors, talking to him a little bit about his career. We're going to get into what he thinks some of our young professionals may need to do or might help them. But first of all, Brian, I think it's a little different. We're both fellow MWR directors, and
Mhm.
we get to shape our MWR program based on the mission of the base. It can change. And,
True.
I came from boot camp, Great Lakes, and a major A school. You came from kind of a little bit of a similar background, but why don't you tell us a little bit about Panama City? What's the mission there? Who was your core customer, and what was the focus from the command? So you could shape your MWR program to meet the needs of the local command.
Right. So similar. We have the dive school, which is diver training for all five services. So there was Air Force,
Joint
Marine,
training.
Navy,
Yeah.
joint training, and it's the only, so any diver related job in the military has to come through Panama City for several courses or whatever. So initially, those first group of students comes right out of your area, Great Lakes. They come out of boot camp, come down to Panama City. So there's that young core. That was one of our main customers, that 18 to 22-year-old sailor, single, unaccompanied, for the most part, living in barracks. So
Yeah.
high intensity training. So we had to shape a lot of our programs around their times they could do programs. They train heavy in the morning. They train heavy all day. Heavy by the time 5 o'clock rolls around, they're exhausted. So what do we offer? Different programs that don't require a lot of activity on physical activity, things like that. So that was a big group we had to program for. We're kind of unique. Again, we're part of the NAV C Systems Command here, that we have a lot of research and development, which integrates, what they do at the dive school, and then they go and experiment on dive equipment and how that integrates in out to the field, out on ships, and what they use them for out to the fleet. So it's kind of threefold, and it's all here. That latter group, research and development, is very civilian heavy. So they are, part of our one force, our one
Yeah.
team. Our COs have always, wanted. We couldn't just say, well, no, this is for active duty only. Of course, active duty get priority in a lot of areas, but we had to incorporate civilians into almost everything we did. Sports is a good example. If we only let active duty in there, we would have 2 or 3 teams. We could bring the civilians in for our competitions. Now we have 8 or 9 or 10 teams.
Yeah.
Better for competition. And over the years, it's just been that way. It's been very successful. Our civilians mix very well with our active duty population in
Yeah.
our.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it works. I mean, there's some places that meet capacity that, and obviously active duty is the priority before you even
Yeah.
get down to family members. Active duty, then family members, and of course civilians, and they're part of the team. So,
Right.
and I think military leadership understands that. So if you can, it's a win-win for everybody when you can do that.
Right. Right.
What
Yeah.
was what was the population of Panama City in terms of
Well,
active duty and your direct
yeah, active
people?
duty. Students come through. I think they run about 1,800 to 2,200 student divers through a year. So that equates to probably about 8 or 900 at any given time. With the rotations. Civilian populations upwards of about 4,000 now. So,
Okay.
and then other active duty, other commands to cover probably about another 1,200. So about 2,000, 2,500 active duty, and then 4,000 civilians, and then contractors a big upper. The other group we have a large contingent of is a retiree population. There's a large Air Force base about 20 minutes east of here, and they have there's hundreds of thousands of retirees in a 50-mile radius. So
Yeah.
so they don't use a lot of our programs. They are on the base. They are visible. They do, buy tickets and things like that. So they're a consideration. They're a part of our group as well.
One of the things that sometimes we differ from our public parks and recreation folks is we do have some business lines that are slightly different. And you had, if I remember right, yeah, you had a marina program
Yeah,
and pretty robust rec lodging program,
yeah,
RV campground, that
yeah,
type of thing. And again, that's a little unique to the military recreation side, but helps pay the bills.
yeah.
Um, from that side. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. We're fortunate enough. Of course, we're located right on the water, so we took advantage of that locality to explore how we can, improve the marina. It was a very small marina when I first got here, and we, part of for the listeners, part of an MWR director job is, as you know, to plan for the future. Put in, you've got to see 5, 7, 10 years down the road where are we
Absolutely.
going to put projects in. It's our job to present these projects, submit them, justify them, and get them funded. So I started work on a marina project to put a botel in, which is a rack where we rack them and use a marine forklift and put them in the water. So we did that. We got 50 spots, and over the course of several years, like you said, it just brought in a lot of cash. It was full all the time. We had hundreds of people on the waiting list, so that prompted me to put another project in to double it. And about that project. That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my career. We put it in. We ran into. It was definitely a viable project, but we ran into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and
Yeah.
environmental, and you talk about government bureaucracy. But in the end, I'm proud to say I found the right money, different money. This I got it all funded, got it all done, and it took several years off my life. But it took us about 9 years to build a project that the first one took a year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we
No,
stuck with it.
that's another episode. The anatomy of a NAF project gone bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's yeah. We'll we'll keep that for another
yeah,
one.
you could definitely have that as another episode for sure.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, and again, just giving our audience a little bit of a size and scope of what you were going through, but certainly kind of a picture of a typical military base that has these different business lines. So let's flip it back.
Yep.
You had a lot of interesting jobs, but you didn't have to move around a whole lot. You went from Key
Yep.
West to Panama City, and you kind of settled down and spent the rest of your career there. Is there any one or two items that you could say would be good advice for the young professional out there right now saying, okay,
Sure.
I think this might be a career for me. I've got 5, 8, and I'm kind of at that mid level. What do I need to do to step it up? How do I become an MWR director? How do I maybe even ascend to a regional or headquarter position? Any advice you can give some of our younger professionals out there?
Sure. Yeah. I think you know, being a director requires, two parts. I think you've got to have that practical experience. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, I work for MWR, but if you work in maybe sports and fitness and you don't know what's really going on in community recreation or other areas of MWR, when the time comes for you, I think, to move up and take on those responsibilities, it would it would behoove you to have some of that experience across those business lines or program lines. And then I think also get involved with, like I did through my career, volunteered to take remote positions. If somebody says, "Hey, we need somebody over in Spain or Whiting Field to fill a gap position, we're really hurting," you step up and take that 2-month assignment or month assignment. It's invaluable,
Or,
the
or if you
experience.
or if you stick within your region, Gulfport,
Yes. Yeah.
Corpus.
I did all those, and it only helped me. And when I came back, you're stealing ideas from those places. You're providing them assistance, and then you're putting that on your resume that, hey, look, I've done these type of assignments. And also, again, I would do even get involved with Armed Forces Recreation for sure, NRPA. Get those contacts out there across even the services, because we're not limited to just moving up in the Navy. You can easily apply for a director position at the Air Force, Army, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think those are key to getting those opportunities, and then I think once you get that opportunity to apply, just be prepared, nail that interview, do the research. I've interviewed hundreds of people in my career, and some were really good, some, as you know probably too, some come in, they don't know anything about the base that they're applying for. I think you really owe it to yourself to do the research, figure out what that position is, what they're looking for, what the base does, and you're going to come out. You're going to put yourself in a better position to get that.
Yeah, yeah. I am interview panels. I my last 5 years on the job, I really didn't have anybody directly working for me, but I got asked to sit on a lot of interview panels for either MWR directors or rec directors or
Right?
whatever. Some even in your region.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at the people that did not do their homework. And in this day and age, with
Yeah.
and now throw in AI, but I mean, just Google the base you're at and MWR, and you're going to get a wealth of information. And people that couldn't answer a basic question, what do you know about
Right.
MWR at Great Lakes or Panama City? And they couldn't answer the question. And some of them, even internal to DOD, they were coming
Yeah.
from another base and they didn't do the homework. That just amazes me in this day and age.
Yeah, and if you're interviewing 10 applicants and you're the only one who can answer those questions, you're in the lead, believe me, because
Yeah.
it does show that you're serious, you've done the research, you want this position. Because if you're being interviewed, you're meeting the requirements, so is everybody else who's being interviewed. But you know uh, I just think that's real important for young professionals to don't assume in this day of just apply online and my resume stands for itself. Yeah, that's good. That'll get you to the last step, but you need to sell yourself and
Yeah,
be prepared,
absolutely.
and yeah, and nail that interview.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got about 8 minutes left, and I want to cover a couple different topics. First of all, craziest story you can share on a podcast in your
Yeah.
professional career. Go.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking, I've had, of course, over 36 years, I've had a lot of crazy little things that have happened that you have to weather. But one of the ones that I think definitely was back in, I think, late 90s. Uh, Everybody, we weren't all doing fireworks like we do now. So I convinced my boss to, hey, if I can get the money and I can get this contract, can we do fireworks out on the water, on a barge? And well, I don't know, we've never done it, but if you can do it, just don't screw it up. So, I get that done. I get it awarded, and of course, I'm standing there on the pier waiting for them, and they're late, so I'm already freaking out. Then they show up in what was supposed to be a barge, which they called a barge, but I call a pontoon boat. It was that small. We're shooting thousands of dollars worth of
let
fireworks off a
let me let
little
me
boat.
let me guess. The guy you contracted with, his name was Three Finger Gus, right?
Well, well, get to that point. So then I look over. He's got this plywood uh, hot on the corner of it. And I said, "What's that for?" He goes, "Well, that's our safety thing in case the fireworks, go sour." And I'm like, okay. So I wanted to be out there with them to make sure everything was, right. So we get out there, and he starts the show. And this is back in the day. He's shooting them off one by one with a torch. So he's running around the boat shooting fireworks off. I'm behind this this thing with a little view panel, and all of a sudden, one of the racks explodes on the boat, starts shooting fireworks directly into the water. Then it stops. So I'm looking, and everything stopped. I hear people on the shore, ooh, what's going on? And I'm thinking, oh my God, we're not going to have fireworks. So I go out and I tell him, hey, what's going on? He goes, well, it exploded, but I can't finish the show. I think I broke my ankle. I said, well, somebody's got to finish this show if I have to shoot him. He goes, no, you can't shoot him. You're not covered. So he says, all right, I'll shoot him. So he hops around for the next 10 minutes on one leg, firing off fireworks one by one. And I'm thinking this was a total disaster. I get in the next day, and my CO, hey, he calls me in the office. That was a great show. I like what they did in the beginning. They shot him off on the side, and everybody thought there was something wrong. And everybody loved it. Nobody knew the difference, but it was a nightmare. But anyway, we've come a long way since then. But he went to the hospital and got his leg all wrapped up. But he was a trooper. He did the show for me.
Different era. We had done some pretty big firework shows up at Great Lakes.
Oh yeah,
an annual open house show and whatever.
yeah,
And yeah, some good stories. Yeah, they do fireworks way different now, way more
oh yeah,
safety concerns. So great story to get a good contractor, and don't be afraid to
yeah,
get your safety department involved too.
oh yeah,
All right. So let's finish up. I want to, you talked about raising your hand and volunteering for stuff. I had a similar conversation with Jerry Heeb on another episode, and we kind of agreed the same way to move up was really to kind of volunteer and
right,
be in a working group or a steering group, or volunteer for a group. And one of the things that both of us had a chance to, you were involved with it before I was the Navy MWR accreditation program. So obviously Amy Semino Shockley, very very involved from the first
right,
go, and obviously has pulled in some really good people. You, Shan's got pulled into that group. But tell us a
yeah,
little bit about the accreditation program and what you did. You were a team lead. I
right.
eventually became a team lead as well, and I thought it was an awesome experience. But what's your perspective from it?
Yeah, I totally agree. It was one of the best things that I've ever got involved with. I think you had Tom Kubaleski on a previous show, and he kind of went through,
Yeah, I had hit
you know,
I Tom and Tom
yeah,
Jr.
Tom
It was a
Square,
really good
yeah,
show. Yeah.
that was fun. But yeah, so for new listeners, it's just an accreditation program within the Navy for MWR programs. So it's based on programming, personnel, HR management, financial, facilities, everything you'd think would make up a good quality program. So then there's a team that's assigned to go out to each installation every so many years and, go through a whole checklist and run the gamut for a week, and you either get accredited or not. And I got involved with that early, like 2012 when it first started. I think I volunteered, and kudos to Amy at the region. She would recommend, some of us folks, hey, he would be good for this. And yeah, and it afforded me the opportunity to go to probably 20-25 installations. And when you get there, you grab ideas, you bring those back to improve your program. But the big thing is you can take the knowledge you have. Oftentimes you're going to a base that might be struggling, and you can really, really help them, then follow up and keep helping them. But yeah,
Yeah.
that program is still going. So I encourage anybody, if they can, to get involved with that. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it because one, I thought it made me a better manager to come
Yeah,
back and analyze and really look, and you get to learn the standards from a different perspective. It was also good to know to impart that knowledge, so to speak, that you have. Not that we're really super smart people, but you experience lots of things. And so when you did run into a younger program manager that was really trying to interpret a program standard, you could help them better interpret it. And that made them feel good. I think kind of gave them a moment where the light bulb went on, and you felt good that you could help, almost kind of like a
yeah,
mentor to some extent. And it wasn't a hopefully it was it's intimidating for a team to look at it, but we try not to be like an audit team. It was more a helpful
right,
team, but
right.
we were there to validate program standards, and
Yeah,
that was our job. So that was
yeah.
pretty cool.
And you
So
had to be tough sometimes, but most of the time, like you said, it was, hey, you might want to try this, or I can help you with this, and help them out.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that helped you lead into what is a part-time job for you now.
Yeah,
You are a stringer. Matter of fact, I think you were the last stringer hired because
yeah. As of now, yes, yeah.
because I retired after you, and I asked, "Are you hiring any more stringers?" And the answer is no.
Well, just
So
yeah,
tell us a little bit about the stringer position you're in and what you
yep.
do and how that works.
And and just like anything in our career, timing is everything, right? So I retired, and I've always had an interest in doing something like that. Over the course of years, they've always had headquarters has had stringers that go out, and basically what it is it's kind of an on-call part-time situation. So if there's an installation that maybe the director billet is vacant, or they leave and they can't fill it for 2 months, they'll reach out to headquarters and say, hey, do you have anybody with that experience who can fill it in for a couple months in the interim? And oftentimes they can't pull somebody from another installation. It's taking them away from their normal job. So I fit that bill, go in and serve as the director for a month or two, and bridge that gap. I also do things, special projects if somebody needs help at a base, or I mean, nothing's off the table if an installation needs help in any way, and I'm the one who can maybe do it, then they'll send me out, or and send me their way. So it's nice, keeps me engaged, it keeps me in the MWR recreation field, and keeps me active, and keeps the brain a little sharp too.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. It's kind of like I'd almost say you're like a consultant on staff,
Yeah, yeah,
because that's what you do and go and put in fires, and you have the background and knowledge to be able to really help. So yeah, that's good stuff. And
yeah.
if you ever hear they're looking for more stringers, let
I'll,
me know. I know
I'll put
the
I'll put
Army.
you in for it.
There you go. The Army and the other services have similar programs where you can be hired as a part-time. You can only work X amount of hours
Right.
on the NAF side to do that. So there are other opportunities out there after you retire, and somebody actually wants your knowledge out
Yeah.
there.
Right. Right.
Well, Brian, thank you so much. We didn't get a chance to talk too much college football, but I'm sure we will in our private chats. And
That's okay. I just do that once, but yeah,
Penn State.
looking forward to a good year, hopefully. So
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you, Brian. That's it for today on the front line. Thanks again to Brian Connors and his amazing story and journey, and just sharing some good information with us. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, for another great episode. So, on behalf of all of us at DPRS Media and On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show, I'm John Prue, and we are out here.
thanks, John.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom-branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention. Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.